You're listening to the Forza Podcast with your host, Marsh.
Welcome on in, special edition emergency National Signing Day episode of the Forza Podcast. I know we were talking to you guys last night, but some things happened in the past few hours for the Hurricanes, and so we got to talk about it. As always, I'm Marsh Thomas, your host, and then I am always joined by my guy, Jordan Nelson. Jordan, it has been a crazy day.
It has been a crazy day, and I am pumped, man. This is amazing.
Amazing, yeah. So if you're living under a rock, or if you're just not paying attention, Avantae Williams, one of arguably the best safety in the 2020 recruiting class. Many thought he was going to Florida. I thought he was going to Florida. Everyone else thought he was going to Florida. Chooses the Miami Hurricanes. And we are going to get all into that. And we have a guest today. We have Gaby Urrutia from the State of the U and the Storm Surge podcast. So let's get him on. He was at today. So let's bring him on the podcast.
Okay, bringing him on right now. Hello.
What's going on, boys?
What's going on, Gaby? How are you, man?
Chilling, bro. Chilling, man. It's been a great day.
Dude, it has been a very long day. I'm sure you are just I'm sure you're just done and exhausted. But we got Gaby Urrutia, my boy from the State of the U and from the Storm Surge podcast. So, Gaby, let's get into it, man. Avantae Williams, arguably the best safety in the 2020 class. Everyone thought he was going to Florida. I mean, I thought he was going to Florida, and then he chooses Miami. And you were at the University of Miami today. You were at the presser. What's the vibe right now with Avantae's decision?
Yeah, no, I think it was all around just a great day. I'm not sure if Miami even really expected to get his signature. The way that Manny Diaz kind of made it sound was that like he felt that he was kind of a Hurricane. Like he said he felt that Avantae in his heart was a Miami Hurricane, but he just he wasn't sure, of course. And then they found out with the rest of us when like the quote unquote fax, because I think they stopped using the fax machine a couple years ago, came in, and yeah, he was really, really excited about it. I mean, and he credited Banda, and I think he deserves a lot of credit just for building that really a really long-standing relationship. I actually just posted the article probably like 15 minutes ago on State of the U that you guys can go check out about Banda and that 4-year relationship and everything that's kind of gone on, and just how important that relationship, that constant willingness to recruit him despite the decommitment, despite him committing to Oregon, and just throughout that whole process, just sticking with him and making sure that relationship was solid, and how that eventually paid off for Miami in probably the greatest way imaginable.
That's awesome. So you were there at the presser today, where we heard from Manny, we heard from Rhett Lashley, we heard from Ed Reed, we heard from some of the new players. With us beating out the Florida Gators for Avantae Williams, what vibe were you getting on the overall state of the program? I mean, is it significant in terms of the momentum we're building, or, I mean, you tell us, because you were there.
Yeah, I just think the consensus is that this has obviously been a very, very great, a very productive off season, and it just seems like Miami just keeps putting one foot in front of the other, and they're not really taking any steps back. But it kind of felt that way last off season too. But at least to me personally, I don't know if it's like a time thing that I'm dealing with it now, so it just feels better. But I feel like this off season feels a little bit better, if not significantly better than last off season, just because last offseason was kind of like tape, but still there was still no real tape on tape. But now we got King, and he has 50 career touchdowns, and he has a record for most consecutive games with a passing and a rushing touchdown. And it's just there's a lot of concrete things that are just going well that seem to be piling on top of one on top of the other. So I feel like there's definitely a sense that things are trending in the right direction. And as we all know, Manny's gonna say the right things. He's always gonna say the right things. And he obviously did that today. He definitely won the presser today. He He did a good job of just talking about how he already feels like the culture's better, how it's already improved through the weight room, and how, these transfers have come in and bought in because they've seen our players, and, that all that's real, all that is real, like everything that they do here, the culture that they have established here so far is real, and that people see that when they come in. Like, you can't, like, you can fake it he was saying you could fake it in a press conference. Coaches are going to say the right things, but the players are going to know when they come to visit, like through the host and all that. They're going to sense that fakeness, and they're not getting that. They're seeing that this is genuinely the way that things are here at Miami, and they're buying in. Like, clearly they're buying in with the addition of King and Roche and Avantae Williams and a bunch of the other guys that we were able to get into this class. So yeah, I would definitely say that there's a very strong sense around the program that they feel like they're getting to the point that they could potentially turn this around.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, going back to Avantae Williams, Gabby, do you see him as a guy who can, he's top 10 players in the state of Florida for the 2020 class. Like I said, one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in this class. And do you see him as a guy who could come in and play and contribute as a true freshman?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely. And I say that just because we know that the struggles in the secondary aren't like, it's no secret that we really need some help there. I believe it or not, and this is nothing that like I've really heard, I just feel like based on his size and based on like his athletic ability, that I feel like he could really, really help right away, maybe from like the slot position, just because like, this, I feel like safety, I feel like they're pretty comfortable with Amari Carter, Gervin Hall. We're going to get Bubba Bolden back there, and he's done a very, very good job. Like, we saw how he really kind of started to find his footing there right before he unfortunately messed up his ankle. And so I feel like the safety position is going to be really solid. I feel like, the outside corners are going to be like a year older with Blades and Ivy, and I feel like Bandy really left a hole at like as like kind of like the slot guy. And I think Avantae Williams is just naturally talented enough to come in and be one of those players, and you're seeing that so often in football these days. I mean, I'm not trying to compare him to Tyrann Mathieu, but you're seeing how Tyrann Mathieu is playing safety, and he's playing outside corner, and he's playing slot corner, and he plays a little bit of, he does a bit of everything, and he's certainly not 6'5" like Isaiah Simmons, but you're starting to kind of see these more like hybrid players kind of take shape within the game of college football and even into the NFL. So I feel like especially early on, I could see Avantae Williams helping potentially in that way. And then you are pretty deep at safety. You got those guys. I mean, Keontra Smith is going to have a leg up on him. Just another really talented kid from Dade County that they really like. But he's been in the defense for a whole year, and Avante's probably not going to get here till summer, so he's going to be playing. He's definitely going to be playing catch up. So I feel like that might be a role for him to really shine. And if not on special teams, we've seen how freshmen have come in here and excelled on special teams. We saw it with Christian Williams last year. Corey Couch really started to come in his own on special teams. So I think he's definitely going to have a role there, and I think he'll do extremely well.
That'd be huge if we get some help, at slot corner, like you're saying. I would love that if Avantae Williams could come in and help there right away. So I'd like to get your thoughts on hearing Ed Reed speak in his first official kind of capacity on the Miami Hurricanes staff. What did you think of what Ed Reed had to say?
Yeah, that was a surreal moment, as you can imagine. Just like, I mean, that was the first time I had ever seen Ed Reed in person, like not even like passing by, like from a distance. I'd ever seen Ed Reed. So just like, he's just one of those people, like, you just felt his presence. Like, Ed Reed was there, and like you just felt it, and it was crazy. And like, I asked him a question about just like Avantae Williams, because he coached him at the Under Armour game, and like, I feel like my heart was beating so fast. I was like, man, I'm asking an NFL legend, like a Hall of Famer, like not even like a Miami Hurricanes legend, like forget that, like this guy's like an actual like living, breathing legend. And
all players.
Yeah, man. And I think what I mostly got out of him and what I got out of his conversation is that he's really like, he's genuinely not there to like be like play like dictator. He's not going to be firing anybody. He's not there to breathe down Manny's neck. He's honestly not even going to be there every day. Like, this isn't like a 7-day-a-week job for him. Like, he said that he's a father first, and his son lives in Georgia. His 11-year-old son lives in Georgia, and he's not going to be at Miami every single day, but he's going to mostly serve as just kind of like an asset to Manny Diaz, a guy that can evaluate talent, that could point out, hey, like, I'm seeing this in practice. He's a guy that can go wrap his arm around a player, a player in the secondary, a linebacker, an offensive lineman, anybody, and just kind of be that type of father figure for somebody. And he spoke about that so much, about just building these kids' character for life. Like, not even just for football, just like helping like these college men grow into like adult working men. Like he said, not all of them are going to make it to the NFL. His goal is to just build men. And like that really took me back. I think it really put the whole thing into perspective for me, because, Ed Reed, he does so much charity. He does so much like he volunteers so much of his time. He has like his own charity, like his own organizations that he does, and so much of his time is devoted to that. And he really wants to bring that attitude of just like really helping these guys grow, not only as football players, but as mature, growing men into like the real world. And I thought that was really great. I think that's the type of maturity and the type of leadership and the type of just the kind of conversations that I think that this locker room has been lacking. Like they kind of, they're going out and partying, they're going out this, and he's gonna be he literally said it, like, if us, like an average Joe, are out at a bar and you see a Miami Hurricane player like out, like, tell them to go home. Tell them that they need to go home. They're not in a place right now where they need to be partying. When they become successful and they do what they need to take care of, then there's a lot of time. There's much more time for them to be doing that stuff. Like right now is not the time to be doing that. Right now is the time for them to be growing, to be flourishing, and to building this football team and themselves up into better people and better persons for everyone, not only for themselves, but for the person next to them. So, I mean, I was really, really blown away by his conversation and just by everything he was kind of talking about. I thought his perspective was very, very refreshing, and I thought it was something that could really, like, truly benefit this program. Like, maybe not from a football standpoint, but just from a maturity and from a standpoint of just the way that these kids approach life and the game of football.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was watching, you could just tell that he just has a vibe, like a positive vibe about him that has honest, and just like a sense that he's been there before. He knows what he knows what he's getting himself into. And he just seemed very calm and collective. And because you covered the Canes last year. You and I were at fall camp. You covered last year's spring camp and throughout the regular season. Describe the difference in just the environment and the feeling from the end of the 2019 season, last time you were at the Heck Center, to today.
Man, I would say that there's definitely a renewed sense of positivity. The last time I were there, obviously Miami had lost to FIU, Miami had lost to Duke, and there wasn't a lot of people feeling too great about anything at that point. Dan Enos was coming into pressers. He obviously wasn't thrilled with the way the offense was performing, and you kind of had to work through that, like knowing that you kind of had to tiptoe your way around things because you weren't going to try to get you didn't want to piss the guy off, but there was also legitimate questions that needed to be had, and it felt like reporters were asking questions, but that obviously wasn't what they want to hear. You just got that sense that everyone kind of knew what was going on, and by everyone asking questions and stuff, it wasn't really making it better. It was just kind of it just felt like a darker place. And then today, I walked in there, and I'd never seen that many people inside the Mann Auditorium. Where they hold the press conferences and all that stuff. There was a ton of media, a ton of cameras, like a bunch of people that were there, and everyone kind of felt that positivity. No one was really going back on that. No one was really reminiscing on everything that had happened. They might mention it just to talk about how much different it is. So I would think that there's definitely a renewed sense of positivity and optimism that definitely wasn't there towards the latter part of the 2019 season.
That's awesome. I'm so excited, man. I can't even. I feel like just piggybacking on what you said. I think the main difference between this year or last offseason and this offseason, and you kind of brought this up earlier, is last offseason we were banking on, Tate Martell and Dan Enos, who were mostly we were banking on their intangibles, like not factual things that they had done, but what could be, right? Because it was Alabama's quarterback coach, and it was the former 5-star QB or highly ranked 4-star. Whereas this offseason, we've loaded up with people that have a proven track record that have had elite production at a college level. I mean, what were